We have a thief as well. We have a thief that has a very similar tactic, and he's trying to steal our joy. He's trying to steal our joy. And he might come after you in many different ways, trying to steal these gifts, these presents. But there is a present that we must hold on to, and that's the presence of Jesus. Being aware of God's presence in our life. See, our enemy wants to steal the presence of Jesus, the presence of God, the presence of joy from our life. It's very easy to lose our joy. Just yesterday I was out in the woods, and I was out doing some ATVing. I was out there on a quad, and I was just having a good time out there, and I happened to go over a log. Now, mind you, it's getting dark out now, and I'm out there, and it's cold, and I go over this log, except it was covered in ice, and I ended up getting myself stuck there. And I'm stuck there in the middle of the woods. It's getting dark, and it's easy to get frustrated. It's easy in those moments to let the enemy steal our joy. And I was tempted to lose my joy. I started to get frustrated at first. I'm like, why is this happening to me? And some of you who hear me preach think I must be whining all the time. And I don't think that I am all the time, but I was getting a little frustrated. I'm like, it's dark out now, and how do I get out of here? I said, you know what? I can't let the devil steal my joy. I can't let this devil steal my joy. Well, clearly, I was able to get out of there. I had some advice that someone gave me. My dad gave me some advice on how to get out, and I was able to successfully get out. But what are you allowing the devil to steal your joy with? Some of us, it's little things. Some of us, it's just something like, I had a bad day, or I just woke up on the wrong side of the bed, and I'm just gonna live down in the dumps today. We allow the devil to steal our joy, and some of us, it's more major things. I'm not going to discredit what you're going through in your life, but let me challenge you, don't let the devil steal your joy. Don't let the Grinch come in and try to steal the presence of God from your life, your awareness of the presence of God. In your notes, the circumstances of life are constantly trying to steal your joy. The circumstances that you face, they're always trying to steal our joy, to get us to doubt God, to get us to become anxious and worried and depressed. Maybe you've lost your joy. Maybe you're sitting here, or you're driving, or you're at home, I don't know. But maybe you're saying, you know what, I don't have much joy in my life. There was a time that I had some joy, but I don't feel like I have it anymore. Maybe you feel like Peter did. If you remember the Apostle Peter, if you don't know him, he was one of Jesus' closest friends, and Jesus came walking on the water to him, and Peter said, Jesus, if that's you, tell me to come out and walk. And Jesus, yeah, come on out here. And Peter walks in the water, but in a few moments, he took his eyes off Jesus. His eyes were on the wind and the waves and the storm, and it says Peter began to sink. Maybe you feel like that's you right now. You had your eyes on Jesus at one point in time, but now you feel like you're starting to sink. You feel like you're starting to go beneath the surface of the water, and will this be it? And all these wind, all these waves, all the chaos around me is causing me to take my eyes off Jesus and therefore lose my joy and lose my strength. He took his eyes off Jesus, and now he's cold and afraid. How do we get this joy back? As the psalmist says in Psalm 51, verse 12, he said, restore to me the joy of your salvation and make me willing to obey you. Many of us, when we come to faith in Jesus Christ, it is a joyful time in our life. We realize that our past sins have been forgiven. We realize that God is giving us a second, third, 100th chance at life, that he's forgiving us, he's making us new. But after a while, we can lose that joy. We can allow the devil to steal our joy. And here the psalmist says, restore to me the joy of your salvation. Maybe that's a prayer that we need to pray. Lord, restore to me the joy of your salvation. Because salvation brings joy. Salvation brings joy. When I know that God has forgiven my sins, when I know that God has made me right with him, that gives me joy. But some of us have allowed the enemy to steal our joy. Maybe you've allowed the enemy to steal your joy today. Maybe you've allowed the circumstances, the storms, the wind and the waves of life to steal your joy. And you feel much like Peter, like you're sinking. But yet Jesus is there saying, just put your eyes on me. In your notes, knowing that we're in God's family should bring us great joy. See, everything might not be going perfectly in your life, but when you know that you're in God's family, that brings us joy. I know that my name is in the registers of heaven, that God has made me right with him, that I'm his child, that he's forgiven my sin, and that brings me great joy, even if my circumstances never change. See, joy is not dependent on the circumstances in your life. Joy is not dependent on what's going on, the difficulties and the hardships. We can choose to embrace the joy of the Lord which is our strength. Sometimes we need to stop looking at the circumstances. We need to stop looking at the wind and at the waves. We need to stop looking at the problems. We need to stop looking at politics. We need to stop looking at the virus. We need to stop looking at a diagnosis and at our bank account even. We need to stop looking at these things and put our eyes on Jesus.